Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
What's good, everybody? This is 99 miles per hour, the podcast with your host, me, Perci Garner, and we have a special guest, but we'll get to him later. Got some stuff to handle. Now, I talked about it last episode, but I'm going to talk about it again just in case y'all don't get through your head. Everybody listen to this, make sure you subscribe. And make sure y'all leave me a 5-star rating so I can read your review from iTunes on the next episode. Also, make sure you go to getlevelpod.com to check out all the other podcasts like The Dogs. We got the Alcohol Drug Coalition. We got the Adams Board. We got Big Brother, Big Sister. Did I get all of them? Most of them. All the podcasts are up there on the Get Level Podcast Network. And thanks to Josh and Kyle for putting this on for me. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. Also, I'm going to be live tonight, twitch.tv/Perci Garner. You know, come see me with the high level gameplay, much level entertainment, you know, CD in the third. Also, check out the store, getlevelpod.com/store. Or shop. What is it? Store, shop, store. Just go to the website and click store, shop, whatever. Get some of that good merch. One of these times I'm gonna get this intro good. Also, make sure you follow our next guest on all of his socials. They will be down in the description. What you want? Well, let's introduce you first. All right, so our guest is one of my long life best friends. I feel like I annoyed him at first. You know, I come to his house, try to eat all his food all the time, and he'll be like, bruh, like, chill. You know what I'm saying? But him and his family and his brother Brian, they all took me in. You know, Steve, Julie, all of them. You know, I pretty much lived there in the Burdettes. But this dude, man, he accepted me and Micah, I guess, for who we were back in the day. There was never no color thing. There was no nothing. It was just, hey, you know, we didn't all like the same thing. You know, he don't like all that rock and roll stuff. No, I'm just we listened to some rap back in the day, but Eric has been, you know, one of the friends that I could go to whenever, you know, he had steer me straight, and that's why I wanted to bring him on this podcast. Eric Williams, everybody, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Hey, I gotta say one thing real quick. Because I listened to all your episodes.
That's what's up.
So, like, you had Micah on, then you had Daniel.
Yeah.
So imagine, like, you know, me being, like, the fourth one in our little circle. Imagine me not being the most athletic that you've had on this podcast. Like, how am I not the most athletic?
No, you is. So, you was everywhere. You know, he was hitting home runs back in the day.
19 when I was in Major League second year.
We was in the home run race.
I still can't be Colby, though.
forget Sosa and McGuire. You know, we was the real home run race, and I lost, but it's all good. But no, man, hey, out of all them, would you say you the most athletic? I mean, Daniel, yeah.
No, I'm definitely not the most athletic, I promise you.
Who got voted most athletic? Oh, me. Okay, cool. No,
what's your 40?
No, we ain't going into that.
I'm playing.
But no, man, Eric, man, this is the real deal. And I'm just glad to have you on the episode with us. And we're going to get into some things. But first of all, just tell us, you know, what's been going on in your life recently. I mean, I can name a few things. I mean, you got a new crib.
Well, first of all, yeah, I'm a lot less stressed out this year than I was last year. I know that kind of doesn't make sense with all the COVID and all the things going on in the country and around the world, but like me personally, it's a lot less stressful now than it was last year because I had just graduated and got my license to practice therapy. And
you got that M word. Your master's.
But that was way back in 2013.
Oh, wow. I know my friends.
Come on, man.
Dang, where my master's at? Dang. Master's in 2013? Dang.
That was way back then, yeah.
That was way back with the faux flats with the Cadillac.
Right.
He said right.
So, yeah, within a year, I had just got my licensure to practice physical therapy. started building my house so let me break it down like this.
Yep.
So I take my license exam on April 4th last year.
Okay.
I know that I'm starting my house building on May 1st. All right. And like, so I took my, I'll get into that later, but I took my exam earlier than I normally should have in the summer because I wanted to get a leg up on the competition. So I didn't want to have to compete with everybody else that just got hired, like that just graduated and got their license. Yep. So I was just trying to, take initiative.
Yeah, I see you.
So I had that going on. So there was a lot of pressure because like I had that going on, and then my house was getting built May 1st. And then
you got to make money to pay for that.
And then I was interviewing for jobs. So it was like a stressful time.
For sure.
But now it feels so much, like looking back, it feels so worth it because it's like, I feel so much like lifted off my shoulders and my wife's shoulders too.
Yeah. And what year did you get married?
2017.
17. And that was a time too. So these last couple of years, you've been on it. You got married to Halle Berry, and got to do crib.
I didn't marry Halle Berry. She's a little out of my league.
Holly. He married Holly. Sorry. But shout out to Holly. You know what I'm saying? Putting up with this food. No, I'm joking.
Right.
But that is a lot. I remember when I bought my house, I was going to Akron to play with the Rubber Ducks. And it was a little bit like buying a house is scary, and so building is on a whole nother level. So I can't even imagine, I was moving into a house just ready. We saw what it was going to look like. And there was, the typical thing you get when you're building a house is you got to stop over there. Well, yours is a little different because your dad was help working on it. So it wasn't some typical construction worker taking his time, leaving his phone at the job site, but really being off site doing whatever. So I bet that was all stressful to you too, adding on to, taking the test and finishing school and stuff like that. Cause I know I'm about to start school back up. So, but, I guess just describe, like you said, it was all worth it, but what was Holly going through from what you could see from your lens? I know you had a lot of stuff going on, but, now she's running, one of the prime nursing homes in this area. Right. So she had pressure too.
Right. So she's been working as the director of therapy at Hennis Care Center in Dover.
Oh, wait, hold on. How'd y'all meet? I'm sorry. Let's jump back a little bit. I know we're supposed to be doing current stuff, but I just think this is important that we should, get it out there before we start talking about you and Holly's dynamic.
All right. So we had met at my first job, and it was her first job. We worked at a therapy clinic, private practice called Concord Therapy Group.
Gotcha.
It was in Alliance. Because I went to Mount Union. I had
Raiders.
Yeah, Purple Raiders.
I went there to do some work and stuff. You worked with me a little bit there.
That's right.
At Concord.
That's right.
Yep.
We did some long toss and
I was trying not to break any glass everywhere. Yeah. I'm a little wild if y'all didn't know.
So anyway, when I went to Mount, I had made contact with one of the employees at Concord. Reached out to him when I graduated just to get my name out there in the job market. But this was actually, I moved home right after college, and then this guy calls me for an interview. I'm just like, man, I just moved home, like, whatever. So I got the job, and so I was driving to Alliance every day. So yeah. I was staying at my parents' house, like saving money.
That's smart.
But I would start work at 5 a.m. So I was getting up at like 3:30.
Oh my God. Yep.
It was terrible.
What was it, about 50-minute drive, hour?
Well, it's supposed to be. Drive safe out there.
drive safe. It ain't worth it.
But yeah, there were some times where I left a little late.
Gotcha. We're human.
Whatever. But anyway.
I'm never late. I'm never running.
Holly was one of the therapists there. So, like, we were the same age out of our group. And still this day, like that group of coworkers that I had there, like I would put up against like anybody, like as a group of people, like, cause we were so like,
that was close.
Like the bond that we all had, like we worked so well together.
That's what's up.
And we did things outside of work. Like we would all go out to dinner Friday nights, movie, whatever. Like we all just hung out. So, it was weird. Cause like she had a boyfriend, I had a girlfriend at the time. And then like I had coincidentally like broken up with my girlfriend and she was separated from her.
And in the background, the coworkers the whole time was trying to.
Right. So they're trying to paint the picture like, oh yeah, something was going on with Eric and Holly, but we really didn't start dating until I had left my job up there and started working at, well, it was called Super Fitness, but now it's called Route 250.
Nice.
At the new town mall.
I didn't even know that. I'm finding out.
So we didn't start officially dating until
after
I moved. I switched jobs.
Hey, okay.
So
that's what's up.
But yep. So we have.
So he didn't meet her in the club. You know what I'm saying? They weren't doing all this. I'm like, hey.
I think it's important to know that we weren't looking either.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like it just happened.
It just happened like
so
organically.
Like I think there's a little bit of, you know, like I with Steve, my contact that called me for that job, like I look back and think like, man, like that was like a sign, because I had just moved home for him to call me and then offer me like an interview for that job, and then me accepting that job even though I knew I had to drive 50 minutes to work every day at 3:30 in the morning. You know, at the time I'm thinking like, this is what I have to do for my career. I gotta, you know,
gotta sacrifice.
Right. But like the bigger picture of things, like that was a sign for me to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So regardless of what anyone believes, like I think that God really had us in that same position.
That's what's up.
For a reason.
And obviously you don't think about it, a lot of stuff. You probably was thinking of all the negatives, but obviously now, hindsight 2020, you're like, all right, it was definitely well worth it. Now, as we fast forward, obviously y'all doing big things now in that similar field that y'all was in. Obviously that was private practice, but now you're at Aultman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work for Aultman Sports Med.
Nice. And like you said, she's director. She is the director at a nursing home in Dover. So you guys are.
She's actually two directors. She's a director there and she's a director at my house.
Well, we all know. We all know Eric needs a little directing. No, I'm playing. But that's every home, man. I mean, the wife, you know, I mean, I wear the pants in my house. I'm just playing, babe. But
you know she can hear this.
I know. We gotta have her on episode 1.
Yeah.
But no, that's how it is, man. The women, they hold it all together. They make a lot of I think me and Josh talked about this, but they make a lot of the sacrifices, the big sacrifices. Us men, we make the small ones. But you know, y'all caught the garter and the bouquet. She caught
at your wedding.
Yeah, my wedding.
Which was the third wedding in a row we've been to that we both caught that.
No way.
I promise you.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. And then look, y'all done got married and everything.
I mean, we kind of knew like we weren't going anywhere, so like it was inevitable.
Yeah, I got you. But it's good to see y'all shining, man. Y'all got a beautiful home, which still ain't finished. There's still some things that y'all got to do, but you know, anytime you want me to house sit, you know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that.
But I wanted to talk about like we're going back to the original question, like with the sacrifices that Holly had to make.
Oh yeah.
So I talked about this with Micah on the phone or FaceTime one time, and Micah was like, "Damn, that's real." Like
I could tell. That's tough. That's tough.
The reason why I said earlier I had so much pressure on me last year was like she had also started working at Union Hospital too. So she was working 7 days a week on top of her job at Ennis that she works like 60 to 70 hours a week. So she was working weekends over at Union.
Dang.
So like she was carrying the team 100%. Like, so I had like, whenever I found out I passed, she was in the kitchen at my old house and she was like starting to like make something for dinner or whatever. And I showed her the computer screen and she just started crying, like all out crying. Cause she was just so happy.
Yeah.
But I was happy too, but I wasn't happy for myself. I was happy that I did it. I could do that for her.
Yeah.
Because of what she was doing. Like, she allowed me to go to school.
Yep.
Go back to school and finish so I can achieve my dream. So she was like, I'll carry you. Like, this is even before we were married. She made this decision.
Yeah,
so she didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time where it was like, I was like 25 or 26. And no, I've never told you, Micah, I haven't told anybody. Like, I went through a phase of like, I don't know what my purpose is. Like, I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to what I was doing over at the gym.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my.
You don't feel like that was your
calling?
calling?
I don't feel like that was my calling.
Yeah.
And like, I was like in a really, really bummed out state. And we just had a conversation one day. She was like, well, I can't, like, she was like, you just got to be honest with me. Like, what's going on in your head? I know you're not, something ain't right with you. Like,
well, you know, us dudes, we like to, no, we good.
Oh yeah. Like, we always brush it off. Like, oh no, like, like the mental stuff is real, dude.
It
like,
is. I know wholeheartly about that.
Oh my gosh. But I just flat out told her like I'm not satisfied. Like, I feel like I'm underachieving. And she was like, I know you want to do therapy school. Like, let's just do it. Like, there was no like, do you want to do this? Like, no, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thought of going back to school. Like, man, I don't know. Like, and she was just like, well, I'm like, we can't do this. Like, we have to do something, you know? And she was like, well, we're 26. Like, we don't have any kids. Like, are we, like, the responsibilities we have right now aren't that great. Yeah. So let's now is the time to do it. Out. Let's do it now before you're 36 and wondering like, dang, I regret not going.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I'll work more hours. Like, I'll, you know, if you need to, obviously I had to decrease my hours at the gym.
Yeah.
To go to school. So like for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, like her to do that. That's so when I found like finding out my result, like, and watching her like feel so happy for me, like I felt happy that I did that for her.
Yeah.
Because like she, like, obviously like she's the MVP. Like,
yeah. And I can relate to that. You know, Krista, when she started balling, when I got called up, I thought she hated baseball. And I thought it wasn't about baseball. It was just that.
Dog, I balled when you got called up. Who you telling?
Me achieving my dream. She was just so happy. He said, I balled when you got called up.
I'll never forget that phone call. Like, I was in the gym. It was like 6 a.m. I was lifting, and I saw you calling me. I was like, "What's he calling me for?" He's like, "Hey man, don't tell nobody, but I'm getting on a plane. I'm heading to Cleveland." Tito called me up. I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I remember like canceling my afternoon. I'm like,
that was right when I got up.
Yeah.
Just because I know how, like, obviously I wanted to call a lot of other people, but I just know how the sports fan that you are, like, I was like, I got to tell E, bro.
Well, like, just like, you know, like we obviously me and you have played sports since we were like really, really little.
Yep.
So like all little boys talk about like playing for their favorite team.
Yeah.
So like, you know, in the backyard or at the park or whatever.
We used to do it in real games.
Right.
We used to be like, all right, who's batting stance over here?
Right. But
Josh know about that too.
Right. But I honestly, I'll never forget that. Like because I went to that game, and I still have the video on my phone of you running out of the bullpen up to the mound.
I thought you were about to say when I almost took your dad's head off, but there was glass that protected him. He was sitting right behind the catcher, and that first throw I threw was like,
Yeah, it was like 5 feet over the catcher. It was probably like 99 though. A good plug.
I was high. Yeah, exactly. 99. That's where it come from, baby. Poor Ricky, man, bullpen catcher, dude. Yeah, almost killed him a couple times, but
and I still have the game recorded on my DirecTV. Yeah.
Oh man, dude, the times. But anyways, he said I'll vault. But yeah, we was talking about the sacrifices, and Holly, she's a lot like Krista to me, where they don't really show, like, man, when we get sick, we're like, oh my god, but they're just like, they look at it like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I take care of I take care of home. This is me. So I got to do this, you know, and they're never really like complaining. They're not like, well, I've done this and everything for you. Like, you know, they easily
wonder why God made women tougher than men.
I know. It don't
For
make
real,
sense.
like,
I know.
Like, I could beat her in arm wrestling, but that's about it. Like, she's way tougher than me and everything else.
He had to put that out there. No, I'm just, she's tougher, but I can still beat her in arm. But no, man, that's what's up, man. I love to hear people talk about their wives and stuff like that. And, you know, and eventually I got to have more females on here. I feel terrible, but but we'll get to that point. But so I want you to talk about a little bit, just real quick, of just how, I guess, stressful the building process is. Just a little snippet, you know, you don't have to go in too deep, but just because eventually one day I want to build, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would like to build a house, but just talk about the day-to-day thought process, or just what you had to go through, I guess, in building.
All right, so me and Holly have been. We decided we wanted to build our house like maybe 4 years ago.
Oh my!
So this was back like when I was in school, it was like right after my first year of school, of therapy school, and because we knew, I was engaged, but I wasn't married yet. And we had both decided we wanted to build our dream home, and be there forever and raise our family, whatever.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it exactly what we wanted, something like no one else has.
Yeah.
Cause that's kind of our personality too.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I'm real big into not doing whatever everyone else is doing.
Yeah, you don't follow the crowd at all. You are Eric Williams. I know there's a lot of other people named Eric Williams, but you are the only Eric Williams, Eric Steven Williams.
So there's a lot that goes into it in terms of first of all, you have to have a picture of what do you want it to look like up from the outside perspective?
Yeah.
And then, you know, how do you want it? Do you want an open concept? Do you want tiered level, you know, whatever?
Yeah. So you got to have a mind. The reason I wanted you to talk about this is because I want people to know this is how life is. When you talked about you and Holly sitting down and she noticing something's wrong, and she's like, let's do this. We don't want any regrets. When you're building a house, you have to have a visual. And I know you said you and Krista are where you could see things before it actually happens. And me and Holly are
Holly can't do that.
I can't do that either. But you have to have and a lot of people don't do this. They don't set goals. They don't concentrate on those goals. They don't have a vision board, or they just don't think about the things they actually want or the things they want to accomplish. And they just expect it to happen. And I don't want to preach the law of attraction or whatever it's called, but you have to think about the things you want for it to happen. You can't, it's not just going to arrive. So when you're talking about building a house, you kind of have got to have a visual. Obviously it's not going to be every to the T. You know, we're all human, and, you know, construction workers and carpenters and all that can't just make the perfect thing. But the process it's very grueling, and you have to have a vision for it to work.
Plus, we had extra headache because we didn't use a builder. So, I know you kind of touched on it before. My dad was pretty much my builder.
That's crazy.
He obviously he retired, so he spent pretty much the last 2 years helping me and her decide and give his his perspective on, because he's really, really good with this kind of stuff, with cars and building things. And
but Holly still wanted what she wanted.
So she knew what she wanted.
Yeah, him and her, you know.
But with him going with us to different places to this wouldn't look right. I'm telling you, this wouldn't look right. Even though you're how do you know that? But he just knows. He's real good at it. So he pretty much did all the work. When I would help him, he would just tell me hey, I need you to do this. It wasn't oh, I'm going out there to do this, because he was he was the one setting.
Yeah.
And he was keeping everybody on schedule with.
That's what's up.
So, I mean, you know, it kind of took longer than, you know, we expected, but at first, but
you can't complain now.
I can't complain now. It's definitely what I wanted and what she wanted.
That's what's up.
Excuse me. But yeah, I kind of joke about it. When people at work ask me, same questions like, dang, what's building a house like? And I'm serious. Like, you go through, like, I'm serious. Like, I say, like, I'd rather get married 20 more times than build another house. I promise you.
That's a good analogy. I didn't think of it like that. Dang.
Because, and that's honest to God truth. Like, there were so many times where we disagreed on things. And I can only imagine, like, if people didn't have a strong marriage, like, doing something like that would just, like, bring everything to the surface and be like, man, I don't know if I can, you know, like, I don't know how
that's how a lot of people do, though. They're easily broken. Well, they expect everything to just be, oh, I'm married now.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be so great. You know, It's just going to be, you know,
there was a lot of times we disagreed on, like, and it's like the littlest things too, like doorknobs and like freaking little drawer handles and trim color and carpet color. It's just like, holy crap, you know, like like all the guys listening to this out there can understand like what I'm about to say. Like when it's between this or that, like A or B, whatever, like, and they both look good. Like, as long as one doesn't look like a disaster, like, we're like, just pick whatever you want. It's fine. Like, it's going to look fine. Well, I want your opinion. I just gave you my opinion. Like, I gave you consent
to make the choice.
Well, I want you to make the choice. I'm like, all right, well, I like this one. She's like, I was kind of leaning this one. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. That's why Christopher, there's some things
that's marriage in a nutshell.
Yeah. That is exactly how it is. Well, Krista, she knows certain things that I'm just not. She doesn't even trust my opinion on, so she didn't even ask. I get home and there's a box from Amazon. She's like, "Oh yeah, these are going on the cabinets." I'm like, "Oh okay."
Right.
and, you know, she's cool with
did that.
Yeah, I know.
What you mean they're going on the cabinets?
But I do make comments. I do get my comments in. Like, oh, for real, we threw away the pink decorations to buy more pink decorations to put them up? Okay. But I'm trying to go home to a nice house. I'm sorry, babe. So we are getting into to marriage. When you first got married, what was your expectations of marriage? Like,
I mean, honestly, like, we were together for 5 years before we got married. So
damn, yeah. 5 years?
Yep. So we've been together 8 years total.
Dang, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So
yeah, I was already
honestly, like,
you already made the choice. Well, let me ask you, what is love to you?
What is love to me?
I guess I'll make it multiple choice. Is it feelings, or do you think it's a choice that you make to love somebody?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, but I feel like for me it's feelings in terms of like, I'll go back to the example earlier. Like, love to me is what she sacrificed so I could get what I could do. Did she feel that, or did she make
the choice to sacrifice that for you?
I don't know. Probably
got it. No, I'm joking. Well, for me, obviously we all know my opinion just from that last comment. For me, obviously, if you look up the dictionary definition of love, it's going to be like, you know, warm and fuzzies. You know, for me, that's infatuation, lust, all that stuff you feel towards a person. But love for me is you deciding to, you know what, I'm going to put up with that person no matter what for the rest of my life. Or it doesn't even have to be your partner. I love you, Eric, you know, for real. Like, we homies. There's going to be some times where I might not want to do something, or I know this is going to benefit you. That I'm just going to be like, cool. You know, it's not going to be any skin off my back. And for me, that's love. And like, I bring my spirituality into it. You know, God, obviously God don't feel like lust towards us. He created us and he loves us. So he sent his son to die for us, or he keeps giving us unlimited chances. Now, Christianity, that don't really mean we got unlimited chances, but he loves us unconditionally. No, how many times we're going to mess up. And for me, that's where I get my definition, but I respect yours with both go into it. I mean, you're not just going to love your partner just because you pick someone off the street and go, I choose to love her. Right. No, I get what you're saying, but I just wanted to know your point of view.
If the tables were turned, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, if she had, like, we talk about this too. Like, say if I had a job offer in Phoenix,
yeah,
that was a great opportunity for me for my career. Like, she'd be like, well, then we'd go. Like,
that's good
no
that you
hesitation.
already talked about that. That's good that y'all.
You know what I mean? Like, and I would do the same for her. So like, that's just what, like, we're married. That's what that's part of it.
Yeah.
You said vows in front of God. That's what you were going to do.
Yes. Well, the reason I brought that up is because I had teammates, and some of my teammates' parents actually talking to other teammates in professional ball saying, will you love her, get married? And this man is in his early 20s, barely has facial hair, can't even drink alcohol for another couple months. And they're saying, you love her, get married. I'm like, well, first of all, this man don't even know what love is. Second of all, this man still cares about, himself a little bit too much. And that's not a knock. That's just how we are. You grow to eventually realize, like, all right, it's not always about me. There's compromises that need to be made. But me in college, Krista wanted to take our relationship to another step. But I was always like, I'm trying to play NBA 2K with my homies, Call of Duty, like, babe, relax. We don't need to spend an hour and a half on the phone every night.
Right.
And obviously my priorities were a little different. I was not ready for marriage then. But then, 25, 24 comes around, I start to, like, I haven't even bought a pair of shoes technically since we've been married. You know what I'm saying? And you know me.
Right.
So that's when you start to make changes. And I just can't wait to see whenever you and Holly are ready to, go deeper, maybe have kids or do something. I'm so excited to see Eric as a parent, dude.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's just gonna be funny because none of my friends have kids, like close friends. Well, Brandon does, right. But the Brandon Burdett, he's if you know Brandon, he's a funny parent. But
some people might think that I might like just because of my personality, like I'm kind of introverted.
Yeah.
So,
kinda.
Yeah, I'm like as far introverted as you can get. Which is weird because of my job. Like you're with strangers all day.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. Like,
well, there's someone I know. So I don't know him personally, but I listened to his podcast a couple years ago when I started my sales career. It's Andy Frisillo. So he is a no nonsense guy or whatever. He's extra introvert, but he gives public speeches, inspirational speeches.
That's the thing.
And gets paid for that. So it's like you can be an introvert and still do your job, or you want to help other people.
Yeah,
so that's what you're doing.
That's me. Like if I was single and I went out, like say I went out to a bar.
Yep.
I would not. I'm like the type of guy that doesn't approach anybody.
Yeah.
But I also, like with my career, I would have no trouble going to a stage an auditorium full of people and talking about what I do.
Yeah.
Like I would feel not nervous at all.
Yeah.
Like I love going in front of people and educating.
That's what's up.
So, I don't know why I'm kind of, that doesn't make sense to me, but that's just how it is.
I get you. I mean, that's just par for the course though, if you think about it in most situations. But since you like to, educate on subjects that you feel comfortable with, and you did say you had some tough questions for me coming up on the podcast. I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I'm ready to answer them, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm never going to be like that dude that's just going to make a bullcrap answer. I'm going to be like, bro, I don't know how I feel about that. Right. But just to give you a disclaimer. But I guess I'll let you ask me some questions because obviously the state of the world, we've been talking about this on a couple of our episodes dating back to Micah and stuff like that with C and Devon and all that. But, I mean, from your perspective, being white, what's your take on what's going on at this point in time with, racism or whatever you want to call it?
I have mixed feelings on it. Let me explain why. Yep. Like, I understand, like, the call for change.
Yep.
I understand. I'm totally behind that. There probably does need to be police reform. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the other things that are going along with it, like with the whole, like, we got to cancel this person because of this tweet in 2010.
Oh, the cancel culture.
Like, I feel like that's distracting what the message is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's tough right now, though, man. That
you know what I'm saying?
Everyone wants everyone shut down right now. They said something,
and I feel like we're setting a wrong precedent. Like I'm big on like Precedent Matters.
Yes.
So like for example, talking about precedent, like the whole thing recently with Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard by now, like, just Google it, because I'm not gonna research and what the actual fake quote was.
Yeah.
People, I've seen outrage on social media that the Eagles only fined him, if I'm correct on that. His punishment was only fine.
Yeah.
People were like, how can he not be cut from the team? But hold on, because whatever year that was with Riley Cooper, former white wide out for the Eagles, was on video camera at a concert, said
saying
something
N-word,
along with the N-word with the hard R.
Yeah.
Like, all he got was a fine.
Yeah.
If that happened today, he'd be fired or cut, whatever. Immediately.
Yeah.
But think about the absolute storm the Eagles would have had if they would have cut Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
But not cut Riley Cooper.
Yeah.
So the precedent was already set.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and I'm okay with what they obviously punished him or whatever. I'm okay with all that.
Yeah.
I don't think he should lose his job, because to me personally, like I try not to be a hypocrite on things.
Yeah.
And I feel like the cancel culture thing on social media right now is what it brings out so much hypocrisy with people, and that's what makes me that gets me fired up.
Yeah.
I'm like, now how can you get mad at this when you were doing this?
Yeah.
Like, let's be consistent.
People on the internet are perfect though, but if you're a celebrity and you mess up, get him.
Like I just get so I get so disheartened with social media. Like I have so many battles within myself. Like, man, I'm about to just delete this. It's so toxic.
Yeah.
Like, it does nothing good for me right now. Like if I get on there and scroll through Twitter for 5 minutes, I just get like, holy crap. I'm like fired up.
Yeah.
I just saw something that makes me
I
mad.
love seeing some of your tweets sometimes. I'm like, ooh, Eric is fired up. Baby, let's go.
I don't tweet all that much.
No, you don't, but that's when I see it. I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely feeling some type of way.
Sometimes a lot of my tweets are like more subliminal message, Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's how you do it. We just got to talking about this.
but
that's funny.
I like I said, like the battle of I think social media is great, but I think the way people abuse it is just that's what kind of puts me off about it.
Well, there's no repercussions for what. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
I think social media is great for a number of reasons. Well, obviously, to get out what you're doing.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
But also to keep it, like the whole point of Facebook when it came out was people might not remember this, but you had to have a valid college email to sign up for Facebook.
Yeah.
So the whole point of it was to when you graduate high school, you weren't going to see most of your classmates. You keep in touch this way.
Yep.
Obviously it got big, and then it exploded to everybody else can have an account. But
I held out as long as I could. By the way, to everybody was like, "Bro, you have to have a Facebook." I was like, "All right."
Right, and I don't even I still have it, but I don't even really use it.
Yeah, I'm starting to use it more now, but before, because that's where most of my audience is. The people who interact with me are on Facebook. I'll put a tweet out on Twitter, and it's just crickets. So I'm like, all right, let me go over to Facebook. I know people talk to me, but
and another thing too, with social media, people are so quick to be snarky. It's like a competition of who can have the most smart Alec.
Yeah, true.
When the original post didn't ask for that.
No.
Or when someone's comment didn't ask for that. You can't have a grown conversation on there.
No.
And here's the other thing. People misinterpret people's tone.
Oh,
because it's in writing.
Yep.
So it's not like when people say man, people are so sensitive now. I feel like people have always been that way. It's just now everyone can share each other's feelings at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Back in 1995, you had to call somebody if you were mad at them.
Yeah.
And most of the time they probably didn't call because it was nah, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
It'll blow over.
Yeah.
But now it's
Oh, and you had a certain amount of phones.
Right.
You either had to go to a payphone or kick, your sister off the phone or
right. So, like, the church I go to, Authentic Church in New Philly, over by the Eagle Truck Stop, kind of by my new house.
Okay.
In one of the small groups, we talked about social media, and our pastor Josh, he had mentioned social media makes us feel insecure.
Yeah.
And we have to not allow it to bring our insecurities out. Meaning, when you're scrolling through Instagram and say you have friends that they're dating or they're married or whatever, and behind the scenes, man, they fight all the time.
Yeah.
They're I don't think their marriage or their relationship is that great. But if you look at their social media,
yeah,
you're dang, they're way better than us.
Yeah.
Look how happy they are.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he was talking about with that's just a snapshot. That's a 1 second snapshot of that moment.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everything behind the scenes is happy in their life.
For sure.
So it kind of took a lot of that was one of those moments I was because I've been guilty of that. I've even with you guys, not saying not you and Micah, and not you and Chris's marriage, but if you or Micah posted a picture, I've had feelings of dang, I wish that was me,
yeah. Oh yeah, I have that a lot.
Right. But it takes a lot of I feel like it takes a lot of maturity to not let that take over.
I'm still struggling with that because I want to have a big following. I know my type of personality, and I would love to have a big following, on Twitter or Instagram. So when I, see me post something and it gets 18 likes in 4 days, I'm like, damn, no one cares about that one. But I think a lot of people are so their life is driven on how many likes can I get, or how many shares can I, whatever it is, how many retweets can I get? It's just I mean, I don't know if it's just me. I don't care about that stuff. And you know me, so I don't really care what people think. Yeah, for sure.
But there's a part of that as well. But when I get embarrassed, honest to God, I get embarrassed when there's people, I won't say any names, but that are older than me that I respect, that they act like how I only think I would have acted like that in high school when I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Just to see people act the way they do, it's just man, what are you doing? That doesn't, I don't know. That kind of just puts me off, and I feel bad that people get this way, and it makes them so volatile, and and they just tweet out of emotion or write on Facebook out of emotion without taking a step back and having a breather and thinking is this probably a good thing to hit send or post on? You know what I mean?
That all started on Facebook. That's when Facebook statuses, you're just oh my gosh.
Right. Well, plus for me, I work where I work is a really respected place. And I know whatever I post on social media, even though I'm posting it from my house on Saturday night or whatever, I still represent the people I work with and the people I work for and the patients I take care of.
Yeah.
So
you
have to have some kind of maturity level of if you're really mad at somebody, then you need to have a conversation with them so you can understand each other's tone rather than being snarky. That's just my point of view.
No, and I mean, I completely agree. If you watch, and I don't know how true or authentic it was, but if you watch Will Smith and Jada, obviously they had some controversy come out and how they just take it to the show like this and just talk about it. And it's dang. But I mean, they just talked about it. I don't know if that was the first time they talked about it and you can, some of the reactions to me looked authentic. Will was oh, it was an entanglement.
Yeah, I think it was, I think that was kind of authentic as well.
Yeah.
Just from I was just oh my gosh, I don't think they talked about this before.
And I think that's important. I'm not saying you have to go announce everything. It's better to have, obviously those two are living a different lifestyle than most people. But I think it's something, and it's okay to wait a little bit. I'm going to say me and Krista, when I get mad at Krista, or irritated or annoyed at something she's done or said or whatever. And most of the time, it's not something she's done. It's something, you know, where she's maybe like my insecurities, my own insecurities, you know, making me be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that, man, I'm my bad husband or father or something like that. It's not like she's done something to offend me. It's just usually my own insecurities. But I don't take it up with her right away. And I think the same way with her, you know, and it's not healthy, I don't think, to hold on to a lot. But I've made it a point in our household to go, hey, look, whenever you're feeling something, come to me. Like, I don't want it boiling over, right. You know, because I try to do the same thing. And she could tell with me, I can't hide my feelings at all. Like, if she says something to hurt my feelings, she can tell. Because I get animated. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, why are you raising your voice? I'm like, cuz, man. And she's like the only person that can really get under my skin. If you say something about me, I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. But if she says the littlest thing, like, you know, dang, you stink. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I don't stink, you know? But I just, you know, I have an expectation. The wife is supposed to look at me like she did when we first had that physical infatuation, and now it's not there, where she's just like, doesn't worship the ground I walk on, or I don't worship the ground she walks on now. It's just, you know, I still try to treat her like a queen, but it's not like when you first get in that relationship, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to you all the time, you know, and it's just, that's not realistic. Keep that going. But
which is a kind of a, I know we'll get back onto what we're talking about with what's going on in the world. But,
yeah.
That's a good point, because, over at Authentic, we had a marriage group that we went to for like 5
weeks,
5 sessions.
Okay.
Like every Friday night for whatever. But the first night we talked about, Josh said something. I don't know exactly what the quote was, but he said like something along the lines of like marriage isn't for everybody. It's only for mature people. And that's the reaction that I had. I was like, So what you just said is like exactly what that means. Like, when that one phase wears off, if you have nothing there, then you're not meant. Like, don't force it. Like if you can, like when that phase wears off, and you can love her even more, or she can love you even more.
That's when you know. Yeah. And me and Crystal, we're intentional about it when we were younger, and I'm proud of like how our marriage just played out. Obviously, it's always a work in progress, but the thing we did well was we were searching in the best way to love each other to like, so it'll work no matter what. And we, you know, found the book, The 5 Love Languages, and I don't always abide by it, but I know what her love language is, but I don't always, you know, really attack it like I should. Right. But because it's just not something I like to do, you know. Her love language is service. So if I wash the dishes, if I fix something around the house, if I sweep, do anything that she was dreading doing, it's like I'm the hero.
Right.
But if I was playing for the Indians and I struck out 10 through a no-hitter, she's like, all right, cool.
Good job.
Yeah. Like, sweet, you know. But she's the type of wife, though, if I did bad, she would let me know.
Like, what were you doing? Yeah,
she would never blow my head up. But even when I'm down, she would still be like, what was that today? I'm like, babe, come on, I can't come home to some some tender love and care. Give me some TLC, baby. I suck today. But, you know, that's her, though. I like that because that's how my dad was. And I really don't have that as much. Like, my dad was on me, you know. And her being like that, it really, like, I appreciate it, even though, you know, it gets under my skin, but I need it. We all know I need it. But yeah, back to what's going on.
Yeah, so let me...
So we talked about cancel culture. Did you want to elaborate on that more, or did you want to get to me being black?
Yeah, so I like off the mic or off air, I guess. I don't know. We're not live, so
yeah,
off camera.
Yeah,
I've had conversations with you and Micah separately and together.
Yep.
And I said like, hey, you know, if I ever go on your podcast, we should have a conversation about this kind of stuff. And this was way back. I mean, how many things have happened since then?
Yeah, true.
It's like one after another.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just want you, like, I kind of want to give you the opportunity to, like, educate people, because we come from, obviously, a predominantly white community.
For sure, yep.
So I feel like, because I'm guilty of it too. Like when you hear like that's racist, that's racist, that's racist, that's racist. Like you can just kind of get like, oh my gosh, like everything's racist, like, and it kind of just like wears you down.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could, like, for the majority of white people, like I feel like that is where some of the anger and like the kind of like brushing things off occurs, because they're constantly throwing in our face like, you can't do that, you can't say that, blah blah blah, you can't have these thoughts. But I kind of want to ask you questions like, so you can educate people on what some of the stuff that they hear means. So like, I know I've already asked you, Micah, this, but for the audience, when you hear the word oppression, because that's what back in 2016, Colin Kaepernick, when he sat down during the national anthem.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I thought he went straight to the knee, but I forgot. But then he talked to a military.
So he sat on the bench, like leaning back, like obviously he had that look on his face, like, man, I don't care about this.
Yeah.
And then, Nate Boyer was his teammate who was a veteran.
Yep.
Said like, hey man, I get what you're doing, but I think it'd be better if you took a knee. I think it's more respectful.
Yeah.
So then when he had to explain that to the media afterwards, he said, black people are oppressed in this country. So like for me, like when I hear oppressed, like I think like you and I can't do the same things.
Yeah.
Like I can apply for a loan and you can't.
Yeah.
Or I can buy a car and you can't. I can get this job and you can't. So what
you want like specific examples, right?
And I know we come from an area that isn't, we're not New York City. We're not a.
And what do you mean by that?
Like in terms of like volume of
black people,
like African American,
okay, gotcha,
in a general area.
Gotcha.
Or Columbus or Cleveland, whatever.
Yeah.
We're not a city.
Yeah.
So there might be less of it here.
Yeah.
In terms of oppression, but what can you provide like any examples of what he might have been talking about?
For sure. So one thing that I would say just up front, and I guess this really doesn't hit on it, but it's just the immediate, and I've faced this a lot, even no matter what, once people get to know me, then their opinion changes. But before that, it's straight up, it's preconceived what my actions or what I've done in the past or what type of person I am, and which is a stereotype, obviously. Maybe the person thinks I'm scary or something like that right from jump. So, and there's a lot of preconceived things of black people aren't as educated or they don't know how to do certain things. So just for certain, I guess they're like for coaches, and I know there's a big push in the NFL right now. But when you're recruiting, and I would say black people are guilty of this as well. Like saying, hey, white people, they can't jump or something like that. It's an equal thing. And everybody thinks that though, oh, he's a white dude, he's got to be a shooter. If he's on the court, Kyle Korver, there's not or a black dude, oh, he's athletic, he's probably going to dunk on somebody or something like that, you know? And they just assume we're going to be athletic. They don't assume we're going to go to Harvard and be a medical student or have a law degree or something like that. And that goes as far as when you show up to an interview. Like I have an example, I'm not going to mention any names, but someone showed up to interview for a high position in a nonprofit organization. And their name doesn't give away that they're black. Nothing really gives it away. And they show up and it's the person that interviews them's like right away is like, you can just tell their reaction. Like I wasn't there, but I'm saying that person that is doing the interview, they already know their reaction. And not necessarily in this situation did it negatively affect them getting the job, because ultimately they got the job because they were incredibly qualified and they had no other opportunity. But it's just it makes you aware, and something you shouldn't have to think about when you're coming to an interview. Should be, if you're going to be nervous, you should be thinking about, okay, like, what am I going to say? Or am I qualified for this job? Or what questions they're going to ask? And just be prepared that way, not thinking, hey, is this person going to think less of me because I'm black or showing up or because, situations. But it can also work in the other way. So I've been pulled over. They take my license. They Google my name, literally, come back to the car and say, look, I'm not going to cite you. You look like an athlete, man, so go on about your day. And that's a time where I'm like, shoo.
Right.
But at the same token, what happens to me if I'm not in that situation? And there's like in Georgia, I got pulled over. 2 cops approach, one from this side, one from this side. And I'm in a Lexus. Windows are tinted. They're illegal, but they're not like limo. And I might have been speeding. It was a 65. I think I was going 77. I've been going on in a normal car in Tuscarawas County doing that, and I got pulled over. And they approached me and make me get out of the car. I'm 21, not thinking about the time. This is before social media, before it was known that, cops are killing black people all the time. So me, being a kid from here who has been an exceptional athlete, who's known in the area and kind of got a pass in these situations, when I got told to get out of my car, let them search it, I thought nothing of it. I got on my phone.
Like you were just doing what they told.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, cool. Not thinking like, wait, why are they searching my car? Like, I'm 21. I'm driving to spring training. Like,
right.
My car is full of clothes. I look like a college kid. Like, what are they worried about?
So that situation, if like, I don't want to speak for them, but I'm guessing they would, if you would ask them that, or if you ask a police officer that, they'll probably say like they're just going off statistics.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe I don't know the exact statistics of it, but most of the time they're looking to see if they can find anything they can get you on.
True.
So they're hoping to find weed or whatever.
Yeah.
Or a weapon or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, in their, don't take this, like, I'm not giving anyone a pass on it.
No, yeah.
I
got you.
Just
being real. We're trying to get to the point.
And I'm just kind of saying, like, I guarantee you that's what they would say if they were sitting here and you asked them, like, that exact officer, like, why'd you search my car? I guarantee you he'd be like.
And part of our jobs, we have to do that as a recruiter or someone, like, as a cop. You have to use certain judgments based off of what you've seen in the past.
Right.
No matter if that is being ignorant, or media showing you this, or it's just what you've seen, and that's what happens.
Right.
Another thing I've heard this, from people close that I love, well, it's really not that bad. They don't talk about all the black people killing black people. And I don't know what people's opinion of this is, but that is called proximity crime. Black people live near black people, so they're going to commit crime on each other, just like white people commit crime on white people. That can't be held to a same standard as a police officer. Now, I know that's not oppression. I just want to get that off my chest. But when I think of oppression, it's hard to go in, like when you watch a movie like Selma, that's obvious oppression. But when I'm thinking of 2020, and if I'm not a professional athlete, and I'm looking something I would like to do, which is computer technology, that's either make software, for a phone or a computer. I've went on a couple videos. I went on a couple interviews, and the interview wasn't even held like a typical interview. I was interviewing for a software development job, and they would talk to me a little bit, and they would just go, well, you know what? I think maybe you should try sales or something. You shouldn't be behind a computer. And I'm just like, why? Like, I went to school.
Right.
For this. This is what I want to do. Let's figure out if I'm actually qualified for the job, and stuff like in those situations. Those are more direct. But there's always underlining tone. Like, there could have been a reason. He maybe thought, hey, this guy handles himself well. His social skills are really good, and the way he conversates with me is great. He'd be good in front of a customer, not behind a computer. Could be fair. But then again, in the last episode I was talking about with Devon, Morgan Freeman, those actors and celebrities were talking about, well, racism is only here because we talk about it.
kind of like that too, though.
Yeah. So I don't know. They got me thinking, and there is some type of, some people would admit, like Denzel did admit, that the system is sort of against just the way it's set up. But on the same token, it's part of our own fault.
What's your response to, for example, when Rob Parker, you know who Rob Parker is?
Yeah, I don't like him. It's like, no. Go ahead.
He works for Fox Sports.
No, Fox Sports.
He used to work for ESPN.
Okay.
He used to be a guest on First Take back when Skip was.
Yeah.
But he had got fired from ESPN
I didn't know that.
Saying whenever RG3 played for the Washington, I was going to say Redskins, but Washington. He had got fired for saying or something along the lines of, like, he didn't like RG3, or he was mad at RG3 because he wasn't black enough.
Ooh.
So a black man calling another black man not black enough, or an Uncle Tom or Coonan, like, what is your response to that?
So me and Micah touched on this a little bit, and I'm glad you brought this up. So this is something I've
or
been,
sell out.
Yeah. That's been directed at me a lot through my life, from black and white people. I've had white people tell me that I'm not black, and I'm like, well, in that situation, it's a whole different dynamic. And I'm used to, white people saying that to me, and I'm like, but that's a whole different thing. When it's coming from, someone of African American descent who's supposed to be my homie. I don't mean that in that way. Supposed to be my friend. Mm-hmm. That hurts deeper. And it's the way I look at that is they're ignorant. They need to be more educated, because they sound very, I guess, racist as well. Because are you fitting into the stereotype? How should a black person talk? How should they walk? Like, is there a way? Is there a test like I have to pass? And that did always bug me. And Micah went through that a little bit too, which I thought was weird. I didn't think Micah would have been going through that, but when he went to college, they said he talked white and stuff like that. But for me, you don't know, what my background was. They assumed I was rich because I had a good education. Thank you, Dover. And we look like you wanted to say something.
Right. I got 2 points to that. One, like, people should be proud of who they are. Like, you should be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
Black or not black. Like, I'm not afraid to say I'm proud of who I am and who I came from. Like,
yeah.
Like, the values and things I learned from my parents, that learned from their parents. Like, that's, like, I feel like that's the whole essence of what you're supposed to do with your kids. Like, you're supposed to teach like, my mom and dad never taught me about, like, oh, Percy can't come over because he's black.
Yeah.
No, tell him to come over. You know how it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so I had this conversation today with a patient of mine.
Oh, okay.
Because I honestly, God, like, I'll talk about this stuff with my patients, because my patients are, if it's not 50-50, like black and white, it's like maybe 55-45.
Gotcha.
Like white. And I'm not afraid to bring this up if they're willing to talk about it, because we have an hour. Like, say I'm stretching them, like,
yeah, there's a lot of dead.
And you kind of, but plus, like, like, when you're working, what's cool about that job is you get to learn from people that didn't come from where I came from. Like, I know about you and Micah. Like, I know about your experiences here.
Yeah.
So, like, what's someone's experiences from Stark County?
Yeah.
A little bit more populated with African American community, So, like, this particular woman today, when I asked her about kind of the same stuff, she just said, that's just it. Like, she goes, people shouldn't, like, she goes, I just can't understand why people care so much about what other people is doing. Like if you want to be gay, be like, that shouldn't affect you.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to marry a white girl, that shouldn't affect, like, anybody else from the outside. That should just affect you guys. Like, that's what you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Like, and I told her, I'm like, I'm the same way. Like, I don't care. Like that's never bothered me. Like seeing interracial relationships or like gay relationship or lesbian, trans, that's what they want to do. Like, that's not what I want to do, but, and they don't want to do what I want to do. Like, so.
And it's not that they don't dislike you for wanting to be like women.
It's not like they look at me like a traditional marriage, like, oh my God, I can't believe them.
Yeah.
Like, how could they do that? Like, why aren't they like us? Like, well, why do we do that to them though? It's just, that doesn't compute to me, but I think that goes back to like, that's kind of how I was brought up. Like, we didn't see things like that. Like, I wasn't taught, like, because when you're a kid, kids will play with kids. They don't care what you look like. Like, when you're little, like, you don't care. Like, but whenever people are old enough to have their minds kind of warped into thinking a certain way, like, that's where it's like the parents' job to
step in or just make an influence. And because like I talked about with Devon is your kids see everything you're doing, no matter how little it is. I remember this is how my dad ate cereal. He held the spoon like this, and I'm like, dang, he looked like a caveman. It's just little stuff like that. I know how my dad picked his nose and flicked boogers out of the window. It's just you notice all the little things, because if you ever once you have a child, you'll understand. Like, if you have like a toenail from your toe on white carpet, they will find that somehow. Like, they just know the little stuff. And by then, obviously, you're an adult. You have more pressing matters like bills and your job and stuff to worry about.
Right.
It's just crazy, and the impact that you have on your kid. A lot of people just don't realize it, and sometimes it's too late.
Right.
And for me, it's. And I'm being intentional about it a little bit. And I learned a lot about from that Will Smith and Jada. I like their Red Table Talk. He was talking about on Father's Day how his dad was. And I'm recycling content. I just talked about this with Devon, but I just love it so much. Like, Will Smith is he's not going to be the father out in the front yard throwing the ball with his son, with Jaden.
Mm.
But if there's a teaching moment, he's attacking that, and he's teaching him the right, well, in his opinion, the right way to think, behave, on that matter, so for me, it's something that we should care about more. Because even being, the Bible says, your wife should be number one. You guys become one. But obviously, like, I feel like in America, we don't act like that. The kids, especially when they're little, the kids, I love my kids. Parenting is something we should really treasure more than what we do. But for me, I think it's something that you have to instill in your child early on, white, black, whatever, that, like, it doesn't matter. If you like that person, don't let another human being affect your relationship with another person. Like, that should not be on your thought process. And I'm guilty of that. I've struggled with that. If someone makes a remark to me, I've broken up with girls because of what I was afraid what other people would think. And it obviously, that sounds superficial. That's just true. And I've dealt with that. I couldn't, I don't want to throw people under the bus, but there was times where I couldn't be with my now wife because of my color of my skin. And I've held off saying this a lot. And our relationship now is so good, and we could talk about anything. But at the time, I didn't realize how real it was.
Right.
But it was tough. And, I love my in-laws now, but, hope they don't take this the wrong way. But hey, it's out there now. But it was a struggle, and now it's not. So they met me, they liked me as a person, and that's how it was. In my relationship before that, I didn't know it was an issue, but they still bit the bullet. They met me, they loved me, and it was over. I never even knew. That. I know. Yeah, imagine that. But I didn't know until the next relationship with Krista that was an issue the first time. They're like, oh, yeah, that was an issue too. I'm like,
here's
what
the thing. Like, when I hear that, I bet you people's experiences with black people, I'm just speaking maybe like black males.
Yeah.
Like, they're thinking of, the stereotypical, like, pants sagging, do-rag
what they grew up on, 80s, 90s.
They might have had a bad experience with somebody, like, looking at them the wrong, like kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they kind of lump, like, well, dang, like, I don't want my daughter dating dating a black guy.
Yep.
Even though like everyone that clearly knows you, like, like why not?
Yeah. What's wrong with Perci?
Right. He's like, I don't know what more you could ask for.
Yeah.
Like if like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a great person. No, I'm just
I mean, but you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. I thought it'd be funny if I said that. The thing. Well,
you get what I'm saying. Like, I feel like, and I think Micah would say the same thing. Like, like people that have bad experience with, say, whatever race.
Yeah.
If it's black people that grew up in a predominantly black area, and white people kind of looked at them the wrong way at the store, like, you know, like then.
Now he starts to put all white people in the
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of, and the whole thing with police too. Like like
start to group them. We're made of stereotypes.
I know.
If you're this way, everybody must be that way, or you're the same, or they just like to categorize things so they might actually be ignorant on the subject, but if you can categorize stuff and make it in one way, just like the example I wanted to say is, what did I want to say? If you, what were we just saying? I had something gold
talking about
too.
Stereotyping.
Stereotypes. I done lost
We're
it.
talking
Bro.
about police.
Anyways, go ahead.
But
dang.
I can give you an example from a guy I work with. He used to be a police officer. I won't say where.
Yeah.
But I asked him his opinion about what's going on, like with the riots and the protests and whatever. And he said, man, he goes, I feel so bad for those guys. Like, because he's like, I'm telling you right now, the majority of us, like, we just want to clock in, do our job, go home to our family. Like, that's literally all we want to do. Like, we want to make sure everyone's safe. We don't want no trouble. And he goes, when they're standing there in riot gear, like, a lot of those guys are thinking what I just said. They don't want to pick fights with you. But they also have a job to do. Like, they swore in to protect. If someone's messing, like if they come up and like assault, like they don't want to put you down and assault you back. Like, but that's just, he goes, that's such a tough situation because they don't want to, they want to protect your right to protest. Yeah. But like, they don't want anything bad to happen, which I'm extremely happy, like around our area. Like we've had demonstration walks and whatever. Yeah. And police have walked with them. And I think that shows a great, like, that won't be shown on social media.
No, that's not
social media enough. Grabs like the most extreme thing.
Yeah, they're not going to grab when the crowd of black people jump in front of a Target and say, no, you're not destroying this Target. This is our neighborhood Target.
So I thought that was very interesting. And I'm glad I thought of that to share because like, I know he come from a more smaller police department like compared to like Minneapolis. But, but the same, it just goes without saying, like he, it's kind of like the military, like there's a brotherhood with officers, like, so
it's just like football team.
Yeah.
Like when we're out on that field, we're one unit. You'll do anything. I'll do anything. I'm not going to.
And I'll be the first one. And when I had this conversation with this guy, like we both said, like, we're like, man, what was that guy, like the officer that killed George Floyd? Like, what are you doing? Like, honest to God, like what? Yeah. Like have some awareness of what, like with everything that's been going on since, I mean, there's been more, but I'll start it with Trayvon Martin. Yeah. 2012. Yeah. 2011, 2012. Yeah. Like, how many have been since then? Freddie Gray. Well,
there's a Garner.
Eric Garner. Yeah. Like all the other ones that have happened and that have been like high profile cases, like everyone saw it on social media and on the news. Like it's a real grabby. Yeah. Like you have to have, like, I just can't, like, I don't understand the lack of awareness that you can have. Yeah. And when everything's recorded, you're wearing a camera on your own freaking chest. Yeah. Like, I just can't believe that happened. Like, and he's just like, and my friend that's a former officer, he said the exact same thing. He's like, that guy's just a scumbag. Like,
Yeah.
He's like that. He's not one of us, meaning like brotherhood.
Yeah. Just like, a gang member doesn't represent me and I don't represent a gang member, or everyone has their own,
I feel like I hate to talk about my job, but I can relate to it obviously. So I feel like if more people did what I do, and like you can kind of get the sense of like not everyone is painted out to be like as bad as what I'm told.
Yeah.
What my parents told me, or say if I grew up with like racist thoughts like embedded in me,
yeah,
or hateful thoughts embedded into me, like, and then I work this job, I'd be like, I don't like that doesn't relate to what I was taught when I was younger.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
These people are the exact same as anybody else I treat.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if people had jobs or they did something that interacted with multiple races.
Yeah.
Because I've, with what I do is there's Hispanic people, there's black people, there's white people. I have someone from Romania before. Like, it's just cool to talk to them. Like, talk to them about their life experiences. Like,
yeah.
why is that so hard to do? Like, I just get so confused with what people like struggle with that. You know what I mean? Like, why would you just want to be like labeled in this one small, where there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
Like,
true. That's how I am. Like, obviously I believe what I believe in my spirituality. And what I was going to say earlier was about church and stuff like that. Like, let's see if I can put it into words the way I want. So we were talking about, seeing black people a certain way. This is a stereotype. Like, when you're talking about religion and you're still can't put into words. God dang it. How was I going to say this? I can't get it. Josh, help me out. It's like, no, I'm joking. I wish I could say some things for y'all to be like, oh, and just latch onto it. But it would be like painting, I want to learn. I don't corner myself to only know exactly what my church says. Like, I talk to all different people. I talk to people who believe all different things. And I learned that because I've been a guy in the bullpen where people can talk to me and know I'm not going to come in with a vicious mentality and attack them and say, this is what you believe or what you should believe. I just like to talk and learn. Most people just don't like to learn though. Like, listening, I had to learn to listen as much as I talk. And I've cut you off, I don't know how many times in this podcast, just because that's
cut each other off.
Yeah. Well, I'm fine with it, but that's just how I talk. Like, I talk a lot, but I'm trying to learn. Obviously, the Bible tells you, chill out.
Bottom line is, like, people are missing out. Like,
yeah.
Like, I hope there's someone out there that hears this.
Yeah.
Like, that obviously, like, me and you personally, that may have like thoughts like, that like it's okay to go out and have it. Don't be afraid. Like, especially as a white man.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to have a conversation with somebody that's not the color of your skin, because you can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Like, and like, honestly, that's what I love most about what I do is, like, man, I met some really freaking cool people today.
Yeah.
Like, dang, these people have seen a lot. Like, I've had one black woman. She was born in 1930.
Dang. So
think about, and she's like she's so like good shape for her age too. It's incredible. But I told her, I was like, I told her, I was like, do you ever sit back and think about all the things you've seen in your lifetime? Like, you've seen the world change like 5 or 6 times. And she's like, I know, it's crazy. Like, how it is. But like, to hear her talk about like what it was like in World War II, like, she can remember being a teenager in World War II.
Dang.
Like, what?
That was crazy.
And then with Dr. King,
yeah,
and and then from then on out, like,
dude, John F. Kennedy, she saw that, like, oh my
all
God.
the things that it's just like insane.
It is. Yeah. I got just to switch it up a little bit, just because I'm super curious, and I don't know why this popped in my mind. But what's going on with Wayfair?
Dog.
I'm sorry to bring this up. I know we're on a serious content thing, and well
I don't know if it's confirmed though. Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Before we get on that, I just want to say there are people out there that don't think racism exists, and I just want you to know it may not exist to you because you never experienced it, or no one you know experienced it. It's important to realize that I might not have experienced. If you're a woman, a man, we've never said, no, that doesn't exist. Rape doesn't exist. I've never experienced that. No, like it's something you can't do. And I don't want to compare both of those, but that's just something that came to my mind. But that's just the nature of the beast. And that's part of what we've been talking about this whole time. But I just want to get that out.
One thing I forgot to say, I wanted to say this a while, like maybe 10 minutes ago when you were talking about something. I wanted to make a point about how much your choices matter. Mm-hmm. Like the choices you make and the decisions you make are so important. Meaning, for if anyone out there is listening that doesn't know how you grew up, you didn't grow up with the traditional mom how your mom lived in Canton, your dad lived in Dover. They were separated.
They separated because one was a Browns fan, one was a Steelers fan.
I mean, it is whatever the reasoning is.
Yeah.
My point is you the decisions that you made, you could have easily went a different direction.
True.
And I'll bring LeBron into this. LeBron, think about what LeBron had to do when he was young, when we were.
He didn't have a place to sleep sometimes.
Think about the decisions he had to make. He knew at 14, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Come on, man. When I was 14, I was just trying to play Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? I was just.
We was getting spanked at nationals, man. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
But
exactly.
I think. Black, white, whatever race you are, your choices matter. You have the choice to get out of whatever situation you're in, or to better. I feel like people should always have the mindset of I want to better myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I've seen things on social media like black people comment on other black people they're mad that they sold out. I'll say it in quotes.
Yeah.
Because they've used other words, but
yeah.
For leaving the streets, they left the streets behind.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be lifting that black man up because he's successful and he has a platform and he's educating people? I feel like we're missing the point of we should be elevating other people's successes rather than man, you're not one of us no more. You're too good for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That mentality just sucks to me.
Yeah, I like that point. And that's part of the cancel culture as well, just because simple fact of jealousy and stuff like that. You didn't have the maybe work ethic, or like you said, but what you just said can go the other way around too. You can be born into a great situation and throw it away.
Right.
It works both ways. And that's one of the things that, a couple of celebrities I was seeing, like Denzel talked about that. If there's a situation we do it, and most of the time it's self-inflicted. If you make a bad decision, you can always, you can come back from it. I mean, some of them, it's very important to know, look, no matter what's going on, I'm making a choice to stay away from this, or, avoid this, or study and not do, go out and party, or just anything. Everything is something you have control over, even though you want to relinquish control and blame somebody else or whatever, right, or blame the system.
That's easy to do that.
Yeah, it's easy to do that. But, and I'm not saying my life was oh man, I had to, I did have to grind, but I did also have positive people around me that helped me, right, and who poured into me. And I think we don't, as a young people, we don't look for someone to latch onto as much as we should. Obviously, we look at oh, Michael Jordan, I have his poster on my wall.
Right.
But someone who actually is near you that can pour into you daily like with actual, words or actions with you, like, or like if you don't have parents, there's someone else that you can always, and just look for it. Don't wait for it to come to you. And I think that's very important to know. Like, and that's why I want to help out.
That's why I like our circle so much.
Yeah.
Like with you, Micah, like we're always constantly talking, but we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
We see each other's success, and that motivates us.
Yeah.
Like we're never, and I don't know if you remember, but at my rehearsal dinner, remember I spoke at the rehearsal dinner, and I spoke about like why I picked my groomsman and Daniel.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't just because like that's who I was vibing with at the time.
Yeah.
Like every one of you guys was for a reason. Like because I look up to every single one of you guys because most of you guys that I picked already had kids. So I see like how you guys went from like goofy friends and now we're mature. Like it's doing father things.
I'm almost there.
You know what I mean? Like, so you guys are kind of setting paving the way for me to like, that's how I want to be with my kids, like, or whatever. I mean, that's how I want to be with my wife. Because most of you were married already, and I think it's real important about like who you surround yourself with is so beneficial to you.
Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly.
So
I was gonna say, and also the content I consume is something. So obviously, you can have a mentor or a parent or a teacher pour into you, but you also pour into yourself, and you choose whatever that is. You can choose the type of music you listen to, or you don't have to listen to music. You can read, you can listen to podcasts. And I would say in about 2011 is when I chose to change. Like I still haven't made the jump to choose what type of the best food to put in my body yet. We're still working on that part, but I chose what content I wanted to consume. And being intentional about it, it changes your thoughts. You might say, oh, I only like the beat of this song, man. I don't listen to the words, you know what I'm saying? But we all know that's false.
Right.
Like, you know what they're saying. It's in your brain. Even if it's a song you don't like. There's been songs in my head that I hate, like that old Nelly and country song. And they even say it in the song. I got the song in my head. I think about it over and over again. I just, like, some of the stuff you might not think you can control that song being in your head, and just don't play it. Think about stuff that you can put in, like, I'm always watching YouTube. I'm trying to learn how to do motion graphics or learn how to do this, learn how to do that. I just am always trying to figure out something to better myself. And I think that's, obviously we fall into the trap. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's pornography. There's music that's talking negative. All that stuff you can choose to do away with or not. And I think that incorporates with your circle as well. So if you can do a holistic approach and try to just, make your circle or what you consume positive and stuff that's going to improve you and stuff you want to get better at, then I think a lot of the problems will be solved. But man, we out here talking. But I want to. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest that you want to share? Because if not, I appreciate you coming, man. Hopefully you have fun on the podcast, 99 miles an hour. And I have hit Eric in the head before, back in 2005, 2006, or whenever that was. I had broke his knees, buckled him up with a curveball. Then I tried to throw another one, the greatest curveball ever, and it didn't do that. It hit him in the head.
Right, I got faked out so bad. Like, I was in my stance, like, and Perci threw a curveball, and it started right out at me. And I immediately, halfway from the ball being to the catcher, I completely like spun out of the batter's box, and it was right down the middle. I was like, all right. So I get in the batter's box again. Same. I identified the spin on it. I can see the spin. I'm like, all right. So I'm gonna stay in this time. This is all happening with like a millisecond, right? Because you threw it like 80 miles an hour. And I stood there, and it just hit me square in the head.
But he's still my homie, though.
Man,
you know? Oh man, thank God for helmets. But no, man, I appreciate having you on. You know, hopefully we can have you back at a later episode.
I'd like to come back and talk about sports.
Yeah, I know we didn't get to that. I wanted to talk about Mahomes' money. You know, what'd you say about what's proof about what's his name getting his money from the Browns?
Oh, Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. What'd you say?
Yeah. So I was saying off air, like I'm like with Myles Garrett getting. And they'll be talking about this on the Dogs podcast. By the way, shout out to the Dogs podcast. I'm
a Steeler fan, by the way. Keep going.
Right. So this is what makes that point even better. Like I said, the precedent has been set. Like if you assault a Steeler quarterback, you get the bag, man. That's going to be
get offered 5 years, 125,
something like that.
Oh my gosh,
that's going to be the new way. Like I'm okay with it.
Oh no. Don't insult. Don't assault Ben, baby.
I mean, he didn't get seriously hurt, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But he could have.
But yeah, if you want to hear more talk about the Browns, you know, even though I don't really like the Browns, I'll still tune in because, you know, they entertaining. You know, Josh, you all right too. But yeah, go ahead and check that podcast out on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys listening. Appreciate y'all.
Nick Chubb is a 92 overall in Madden. Number 3 running back.
What was Lamar Jackson?
Like overall? Like
yeah,
95.
Wasn't he mad about it or something? Oh,
was he mad about it?
I don't know. I thought he was.
He ain't Pat Mahomes.
I mean, I'm mad about my ratings in NCAA Football 10 and all that stuff, and the show, like just
yeah. So like I bought the show 17, and you were like, what were you like 57 or something?
Like, do y'all watch any film or what? Do you watch me on TV? No, but no, man. I got to get home and stream twitch.tv/Perci Garner. We're going to be playing Mortal Kombat, Valorant, or whatever it is. But no, we appreciate all you guys listening. Make sure you subscribe, like, 5-star review, everything that involves helping me out. I appreciate if you go ahead and do that. It's real easy. It's just a click, a tap. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't click a tap, I'm a slap. No, I'm just Anyway, I wanted to tell you, I was cutting the grass, listening to Boys in the Hood the other day, and I was getting hype. You may be thinking of old days, you know what I'm saying? Me, E. Will, how you feel? Anyways, again, I'm not going to say it again because he's going to make fun of me.
Appreciate y'all.
But tune in next time, next Tuesday that will be. Man, just get better. You know what I'm saying?
Let's be better.
Let's be better as a people, as a human race.
Let's learn. Let's grow.
Don't be a disgrace. All right, thank y'all.
It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. I got a crib by the water. Say me Casa Sukasa. It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.